over the summer break, I want to do a series of videos all about flexi-schooling and how our first year's gone, some advice and reviews, things like that. And the first video that I'm going to be filming today for you is just a year in review. I wanted to have a look back at our first year of flexi-schooling with my daughter Miriam, who is 5 and she was in reception. Before we then go into our next year, because we're continuing it for year 1, and I'll talk all about that in another video. But this video is going to be kind of a what went well, even better if. Does anyone remember doing that at school? WWWEBI. But yeah, just the things that have gone really well this year, the things that I'll probably repeat for next year, the things that didn't work as well that I might be changing up for the coming year. As well as I'm going to talk about some of our favourite subjects and topics that we did, some of our favourite resources that we used, and finish off the video talking about our goals for the next academic year for year 1 of flexi-schooling. Just to give you a very brief insight into what flexi-schooling is for us, Miriam was in reception. She'll be going into year 1. She does 2 full days at school and 3 days home educating. So that is all I'm saying in this video, and if you want to know more about that, please ask in the comments below, and I'll be doing videos in the future just talking a bit more in depth about what flexi-schooling is and how we got into it. So I think I'm going to start this video by talking about the things that I want to improve on, the EBIs for next. And the first thing that I want to talk about is our maths curriculum. That's one of the things that didn't really go well this year. Miriam has learned everything that she needs to in maths. She is on track. The school haven't had any concerns about where she is with maths. But the curriculum we used, I'll show you the curriculum. I've used CGP Reception Maths termly book. So it has autumn, spring and summer term activity books. And we actually use this for phonics, which I'll talk a bit about later, because I really liked it for phonics, but for maths it just didn't work. And I think one of the main reasons for that was that it's very, very bitty. It kind of, so for example, you'll be learning, so like one day will be about ordering numbers, the next day is about addition, the next day is about first, second, third, fourth, the next day is about 3D shapes, the next day is about patterns, and there's no real consistency to it. It's just pulling out kind of maths concepts and doing different things every day, and I didn't personally like that. The school take a maths mastery approach, and a lot of home educators are also kind of going down that route of maths mastery. So this year, I don't have it to show you now because I will do a whole video about the curriculum that we're using for this year, but this year we've decided to do maths no problem, which is maths mastery. So you spend you know, a certain amount of weeks on one particular part of math and you master that, and then you move on. And it's important to keep doing the retrieval, to keep coming back and forth, so that, you know, they don't learn one thing and then by the time they're on the 4th or 5th thing, they've forgotten the first thing. But the way it was just really bitty with the CGP books just wasn't really working for us, even though it did get her to where she needed to be. She has learned everything that she needs to know. It just, yeah, it wasn't for us, and that will be something that we're changing this year. The next thing that is really quite specific to flexi-schooling is that one of the challenges, again, I'm going to be doing a video all on the pros and cons or positives and challenges, but one of the challenges that I will mention in this video that I really want to get better at for next year is making sure that we don't lose our home education philosophy. Obviously, home education is our main philosophy of it, like kind of sticks with our philosophy of education more than the school system does, and one of the major ways for us that it does that is about depth of learning. And what they do in reception is they pretty much have a topic every week, a different topic every week. Sometimes they'll stay with that topic for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but quite often those topics are changing, so there wasn't the depth of learning about any particular subject. So you just kind of got the rough overview and couldn't go deeper. Now, for early years, that's kind of understandable because there's not a huge amount of depth you're going to get. So it wasn't that I felt that it was a really awful way to do it, but I just felt a bit like I'm at risk of losing what I really believe in education, in terms of really, instead of learning a little bit about a lot of things, learning really deeply about a few things. So that's something that I definitely want to keep an eye on this year, especially in year one. There are a lot more subjects and a lot more things going on. I think in general there is more depth in year one anyway, but it's just something that I want to be mindful of so I don't lose that important part of the home education philosophy for us. Something else that I really want to get better at in year one is being outside more, going on more outings, more trips, more practical learning. I do find that I slip into using worksheets and books and kind of curriculums and sitting at the table with a pen and paper. I guess that's how I was educated, that's how the education system usually is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally. I'm not a home educator that feels like you should never be at a desk with pen and paper, but I think that was bogging us down a little bit, and I definitely need to be a bit more creative with the things that we do so that we get outside a bit more and do a bit more outdoor learning. And lastly, one of the things that would is a bit out of my control in terms of how I can improve this, but one of the things I did find difficult this year is that I don't really have a home education community basically at all. We moved here into the countryside from London, and I'm still kind of following a few friends from London and know what they get up to and the groups they go to, and it does make me feel a bit sad that we don't have that here. So I will be trying to push a little bit more for more home education community, but at the same time I'm aware that there's only so much I can do. I can put the events on and I can try and meet up with people and communicate with people, but at the end of the day, if they don't come, they don't come. But that's something that I am kind of aware of, and it was just an even better if. The home education would be even better if we had a really lovely community that we were doing it with. So on to some of the things that have gone really well and that I will be kind of repeating or doing similar things for this year. So one of the things I kind of already mentioned was our phonics and our reading. We used, again, the CGP curriculum for phonics, and for phonics for early years, for reception, this was fantastic. Actually, we're not using that for year one, mainly because of how the you move away from phonics and into English for year one. Again, I will talk all about that in our resources video, but for this year, the CGB phonics and the reading books that we had and the English curriculum has gone really, really well. I think that's partly my daughter, and she just laps it up and she loves reading. It's not that she's just really good at it, that she is really good at it and she really understands what she's reading, but anytime I get new books from the library or there's kind of books lying around the house, she'll pick them up. I love that she really enjoys reading, and I love that even though we did quite a formal approach to teaching her to read, that hasn't affected her enjoyment of reading at all. She loves it and she just laps up every book that she can get her hands on. The next thing that went really, really well is how I planned. We use this home school planner and essential organizer. It's one of the cheapest ones you can find on Amazon. I've got the same one this year, and it's just different design, but it's the same inside. And I'll be planning exactly the same way as I did last year. I don't have any regrets with how I planned, and again, I'll be doing a video all about planning, so I'm not going to go massively into that. I'll also do a video all about reviewing this planner because I love it and I think it's great, so I'll do a flick through and a video on that. So I won't talk about it too much in this video, but I love how we planned, and we will be going on to plan exactly the same way next year. The other massive positive that was really to do with Flexi-schooling specifically is the relationship that I've had with her teachers and the school has been absolutely fantastic. Like, I couldn't have asked for better teachers, for better support, better communication. It has been such a blessing, so wonderful, and I'm just really thankful that we got to Flexi School and we got to have that relationship with the school and with the teachers. I want the best for Miriam, but the school want the best for Miriam, and we're just really on the same page with so much stuff. They love what we do at home. They massively see the benefits of what we're doing at home. and just that relationship and that kind of collaboration and that support that I get from them, and just everything has been so positive with the school. And again, there'll be even more positive things coming up next year. Again, I'll discuss that probably in another video sometime. But yeah, I'm really glad that I have that special relationship with the school and with the teaching staff there. It's really special. And finally, one of the things that has gone really well this year is our finances. So we came into home education not with lots and lots of money or lots and lots of space. So we were home educating on a budget. And at the end of this year, I kind of looked at everything that I've spent this year, and I'm pretty sure I've included everything. So glue sticks, Twinkle subscriptions, books that I've got, everything. And it was about £118, which I think is amazing. You know, there are probably things that I've forgotten, but even the things I've forgotten wouldn't add up to more than £200. And to have done whole years worth of education and to spend less than £200, I'm really happy with that. I know that that's early years and it will probably go up as the years go on, but I'm still planning to always do it on a budget. We use the library lots. Anyway, that's another video, how to home educate on a budget as well, but that has gone really well for us. I think I've really stayed within the targets of kind of what we wanted to spend, and yeah, I'm really happy with the amount of money we spent this year. I also want to talk about some of our favourite subjects and favourite resources that we used this year. Our favourite subjects, definitely reading and phonics English, all of that. Like I've already said, it just has gone really well. It's been absolute pleasure teaching her to read. I love listening to her reading. It's something, I know there are parents out there that really hate teaching their children to read, and they're much prefer maths than English, but I've loved teaching reading. It's been really amazing. Poetry tea time has also been something that's been really wonderful in our home education or homeschooling. I haven't done it, initially I kind of thought, oh, this might be something we do weekly or every other week or monthly, and it's not worked out like that. I end up doing it when it seems appropriate. So for example, most recently we were doing about the summertime. Shirley Hughes has a whole book on poetry for each season, so I got her book out and went to the summer section and we read some poetry and we did some copy work around that. So it's more when it comes up and when there's an opportunity to do poetry. We bake together, which is quite often our maths. We do the poetry together, which obviously are kind of literature, and then we do some copy work or some writing about the poetry and drawing, things like that, which can include art and it can include handwriting and punctuation and all the things. So poetry tea time has been really good in our home education, definitely something I'm going to continue next year. In terms of subjects or topics that we did that we really loved, we did a week all about bread. It was kind of started off as harvest, and we were learning specifically about wheat and how wheat starts out and is harvested and is turned into flour. And then we went on to learn about how bread is made, and we made bread together, and we learned about yeast and why yeast works in kind of emitting carbon dioxide and helping the bread to rise. And that was just one of those weeks that actually was quite early on. I was quite surprised when I looked back on it how early on we did that. It was in the first term, I think, first half of the first term. But it's just one of those things that I really have a memory of, and that was just really fun to do. We also did ice and penguins. Like a lot of the topics that we really loved were just things that we ended up finding really good ideas of how to kind of bring it alive. So with the penguin one, we found out how tall emperor penguins were, and we had a big long thing of paper, a roll of paper, and we measured that out and we drew an emperor penguin that size and we painted it and we stuck it on the wall so we could see how massive these emperor penguins are compared to the children. They're taller than the children, and that was just really fun and kind of really like a physical, tangible way to learn. We also learned about China, so a lot of the topics were picked by the school and we kind of followed on because the topics were great. Most of the time we followed what they were doing, and China was a great one as well. We have a friend who was a missionary in China and we went to visit her, and that was such a wonderful subject to do. And then in terms of favourite resources, obviously this year CGP I would put up there with pretty much one of my favourite resources for reception, particularly their phonics books. It had everything I needed really. And yeah, even though I'm not using them for year one, that probably was definitely a favourite for this year when we did reception. Another favourite resource was Twinkle. I know lots of home educators use it and love it, and I also know quite a few home educators that have never used it. I think it definitely has a place. I do have some criticisms with it. I don't think it's like this amazing perfect system that just has everything you need, and I do think it's quite expensive as well. So I did it on a budget where I tried to plan termly and then get a monthly subscription 3 times a year, which works out as spending, it's about £15 or £20. I spent less than £25 this year on Twinkle, and the yearly membership was £40. So it was a cheaper way of doing it, but obviously the kind of downside to doing it that way is that you do have to plan quite in advance. And then the next resource that's completely free is the library. We've used the library a lot. We've gone out and done our homeschooling in the library just to get out of the house and have a different setting. But obviously we've used lots of books from there. What I tend to do, I don't find that I find much going there and having a look around the books while I'm in the library. What has been the best way for me to do it that I have found in the last few months is to go on their online catalogue. I think most libraries are online now, and have a good idea for what I want and search that. Sometimes, you know, just this morning I just searched Usborne, because obviously Usborne do lots and lots and lots of educational books, and I think it came up with 14 pages worth of Usborne books, and I could look through those, and that's a better way of doing it, that I then reserve them and pick them up, and it just saves me a bit of time, and I really find what I need rather than go in there and it not be in there. So lastly, I just want to talk about some goals that I have for this year going into year one Flexi-schooling my 5-year-old. So some of them I've already discussed when I've talked about what would be even better, you know, my even better ifs. So I'll go through them quite quickly. One is achieving depth of learning. It's something that it's really important for our home education philosophy, to be able to just get that depth of learning and to dive deep into something and to know kind of the ins and outs of lots of different things, rather than just having a base level knowledge of lots of things but not really being able to take that deeper. So I definitely want to be aware of that this year to achieve that depth. Next thing I've already said as well is going outside more and on more trips. That kind of speaks for itself. I'm not going to explain that anymore. The third thing I've also mentioned is volunteering at the school. Just being a really involved parent in the school, mainly because I felt so grateful for them allowing us to flexi school. I wanted to give back and I wanted to do that. I'm going to be able to volunteer a lot more this year, and I don't know exactly what I'll be doing yet. Definitely reading with the children is something that I'd be really interested in doing. Supporting children that are maybe struggling with their reading in more kind of a one-to-one way that they don't usually get to do in a school. I'm doing British Sign Language with Miriam this year, so whether they want me to go into the school and do a bit of BSL story time or something like that. I've got lots of ideas, but that is definitely a goal for next year, to kind of be involved in the school. And then lastly, one of my goals, again, that I've talked about a little bit, is building that home education community locally. I have really struggled to and felt really discouraged when I've tried to get meetups to happen, and I've organised something and then no one's turned up, and that's happened 3 or 4 times, and it just feels really sad and really discouraging, and just kind of like, oh, no one wants to meet up. But I'm going to try not to be discouraged by that this year and just keep going with it and keep trying. I am interested in more cooperative approach to education as well. You know, you have some parents that are particular experts in one area and another parent that's good at something else, and I really like that cooperative approach, and that's what a lot of my friends in London do. But we just don't have around here. So anyway, I'm rabbiting on now. This video's already been too long, I'm sorry. But I hope it was interesting, and as I say, there'll be lots more videos coming up. Hopefully over the summer I'll be filming. I've got lots and lots of ideas, and next year I'll have a little bit more time as well with my younger one in nursery. So if you have any questions, suggestions of videos, anything you want me to talk about, please comment below, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was kind of insightful to our world of flexi-schooling, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.